So tonight I'm going to do a blind. It's not a blind in a sense that I don't know what exactly it is that I'm drinking, but it is a blind of three different Four Roses recipes. Um, I haven't had the opportunity. I've had a couple different samples of some of their single barrels, but I haven't really dove into Four Roses a whole lot. I really do like. I like their regular, just their base 80 proof bourbon, which I recently found out that they've got a 100 proof that they just released. But I like the small batch and I like the small batch select. The samples of the single barrels that I've had, I did like, but I haven't really got into them to where I was picking apart the different recipes. Um, for anyone that doesn't know the way Four Roses works, they have a recipe code. It always starts with an O that stands for Four Roses Distillery. Um, the second letter is either an E or a B. The E is their uh, lower rye. It's still pretty much anything over 15% rye is, there's no legal definition, but is typically considered a high rye. But it's their E uh, mash bill is a 75 uh, corn, 20% rye, and 5% malted barley. If the B is that second letter, that's their high rye um, knife bill. So it comes in at a 60% corn, 35% rye, and 5% malted barley. So you're either going to have an OE or an OB. S is the third letter that stands for straight whiskey. And then the fourth letter is going to be uh, for their proprietary rye strains. They have several different, they've got V, which is supposed to give you delicate fruit. K is a slight spice. O is rich fruit. Q is floral, and F is herbal. So the ones that I have are the OESK. So that's going to be the lower uh, mash bill with a baking spice and light uh, caramel. I've never said caramel in my life. Um, and light caramel. OESO is going to be rich fruit and vanilla, and OBSF is delicate rye and mint or an herbal note. So that's what their notes say. Um, as I said, I haven't dissected Four Roses a whole lot. So this is going to be my opportunity to see what I think about those recipes without knowing which one's which. So I had my daughter help me get the blind set up, and so we're going to get into it. So this is A. Hmm, that's that's nice. I would almost get a little bit of rye on that. That is very light. Almost don't smell anything. But what I do, it's very, very subtle, and it's almost like I think I'm smelling something, and I almost kind of process it, and then it's gone. That smells a lot like the first one. No. Mm. Hmm. I get mint on that one. So just off the nose, I want to bet this is that OBSF, but and that was number C. Um, I hear a lot of people get mint on a rye um, or high rye, and I've never gotten mint at all. So yeah, at first A and C smell very similar, but uh, nosing it a little bit more, C is, yeah, definite mint. So now let's get into tasting them. Definitely get rye. That's very fruity. Um, that yeah, I get some fruit on that. Man, that's good. A little sip of water. Okay. Man, there's just nothing on that nose. I like, that was kind of fruity too. Um, there is kind of a, try A again. Yeah, those are both real fruit notes to it. But B has a, or something else. There's like some vanilla or caramel in there. I'm gonna double check these. Yeah, A. Making sure she told me right. She just came in here and set them down. So yeah, yeah, he told me right. Um, those are, man, those are both really good. The what I've got in B, it's very similar to A, but there's a darker, a more rich sweetness to it. Hmm. I got to get another sip of that. My dogs are still adjusting to the our new pet, so there's a little dominance going on. The new dog wants to play, and the others don't. Um, but on C, I get rye. I don't get any of the mint on the palate that I get on the on the nose. Mm. But based on that, I am going to say that C is the OBSF because I do get more rye and I get that mint note on the uh, on the nose. That's my guess for C. For B, I think it is OESK because there's a bit baking spice note to it. Or I don't know that I would call it baking spice, but having read that, that's kind of where my mind's going. But I do get that caramel, uh, kind of that rich uh, sweetness. And it's like B is a dark sweetness and A is a lot more light. And I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the way my mind interprets it. So I'm going to go with, and so I'm going to say that OESK is B, OESO is A, and OESF is C. So now, find where she put the answers to the test. All right. A is OESO, B is OESK, and C was OBSF. So I haven't done a whole lot of blinds, but the last one I did, I got right, and I was really surprised. And this one, I'm even more surprised because last one I was just doing like two different ones. This one I'm doing three, and they are very, while A and B are similar, they're still very different. Uh, C is night and day different. All are very good in their own right, but I'm almost thinking, I'm not sure which one I prefer the most. It's between A and B, um, but man, they're both so good. It's one of those where it would just depend on the night. Yeah, the OESO, and these are all the red label single barrels. So they're coming in at 100 proof. These are not like the barrel proof ones. Um, you do see those in like store picks. They'll still have the different recipes and all that. But the here in the last, well, this last year they released three of their 10 recipes. This year they're supposed to release four, or maybe I have that backwards. There's either four last year and going to be three this year, or three last year and going to be four this year. But over time, they're going to get all 10 released. So this is three of 10. And like I said, these are A and B are way above C in my preference, but C is still damn good. Um, you can get these. Um, you can get these on the market for around $50, give or take. Depending on what your market is, but they're typically not much more than 50. Um, some of your smaller stores might have them for a little bit more, but they're not typically over that. Um, I didn't really go through my scoring scale since I was doing a blind, but these would all uh, definitely be in the more gooder category. This B might have taken a little hit on the nose because it's just so light. Like even now, after I've had a sip of it, I'm still just barely getting. I get a little bit more now that I've had a sip, but I still just barely get anything. But these uh, definitely would get ones across the board for value. If you're finding these for 50 or less, even up to 55, I wouldn't be mad at. Other than the fact that I know that other places are carrying them for less than 50. But uh, like in my area, I have to figure in like if the store near me has it for, let's say they have it for 55, and I know there's a place in Tulsa that I can get it for 45. I'm not driving to Tulsa to save $10. It's just that's kind of counterintuitive. Um, and I'm starting to, as I get more into bourbon and looking at pricing and stuff in my area, there's just right where I'm at, there's not a lot of stores, but I can drive 45 minutes north and be surrounded by them. Um, but there is a store near me, Beeline Liquor. Um, they they kick ass. They've got a good selection and decent prices. Uh, so at least I've got that. Um, but even at that, it doesn't make sense to drive unless I have something in mind. It doesn't make sense to drive. So anyway, I kind of got off on a tangent there. But for these, yes, definite ones across the board on the value. Um, all of these would be definitely up there in that more gooder category. Um, which I may have to revise my scoring method because I like a lot of stuff, and it kind of feels like it gets a little generic sometimes whenever everything scores super high. Now, to finish this off, make my own small batch. See how that does. Nice nose. You can kind of get a little bit of everything in there. Man, that just softened everything up. It tastes a lot, which is funny because B was one I had the least of, but it tastes more like that than anything. Um, that's interesting. There is definitely an art to blending, and as I do these, I kind of learn a little bit more. Um, but anyway, that's tonight's video was a blind of 3 of the 10 Four Roses recipes, and I hope y'all enjoyed.